Pioneer Park. What can you tell us about the situation? Let's start with where you're at.
Hey, Garna, we are downtown Salt Lake right now. I'll step out of the way so you can see where we're at. Corner of State Street and First South. Police have kind of blocked off the area right now. We don't know a lot so far, but people were just marching along State Street. It seemed peaceful at the time. And then someone started yelling shots fired. People started kind of frantically yelling and running, and we just kind of took cover behind a vehicle. I did see a body down on the ground. So that's all we know so far. We don't know anything yet about the suspect. You see the ambulance coming. So it's still a very active crime scene right now. Again, it looks like everyone else around me is safe. We did see police shortly after run into the parking lot just over in that direction. And there are some ambulances down the street, down First South there. And so we're still, a lot of things are unconfirmed at this time. We don't know a lot of details. We did, however, see a body. We saw them working on that person who was shot. And again, looks like there's ambulances down there. I saw a gurney as well. Lots of police presence here. They have the whole street blocked off. I will tell you guys, it was a very scary moment. It was a protest that was very peaceful for the majority of the day. Nothing happening. Lots of law enforcement were in place just in case something like this were to happen, and unfortunately, it did happen. Again, we don't know much. We don't know anything about the suspect. If they're in custody yet, we don't know if that's confirmed. So it's still an active case at this time. Again, roads are blocked off here. We're safe at the moment, thankfully, and we don't know yet about the person who was shot as well. So we'll be sure to bring you more updates as we get them. But that's all we know for now, guys. We'll send it back to you.
Emma, we're going to try to keep you with us as long as we can. We want to ensure that you're in a safe location. What you're seeing here is State Street and 400 South. Now, this is the area where we're still seeing people marching. We believe several. Well, let's start with. This is State Street and First South. Now, let me start with the fact that this rally is very large. The crowd is thousands of people. I'm wondering if maybe some of these people that you're seeing here even know what happened, because the crowd took up about 3 city blocks. That is how large it was. Emma, we were with you. We heard some of those gunshots. We've been hearing our police scanners here. Tell me a little bit about, do you know anything about this person that we're seeing? They look like they're in handcuffs. Is that what you're seeing as well?
We heard some people mention that they saw someone who was put into handcuffs, but again, that isn't confirmed. We didn't personally see it. We haven't been able to speak with police yet, so we don't know if that's confirmed. We've just heard witnesses say that. I do, again, see some ambulances down the street there, more police cars, so something is going on down that direction. And again, we just don't know a lot at this time. Again, we saw a body earlier. They were working on that person who was shot. We don't know anything about their condition, or if there were more. If there was more than one victim. At this time we only know about one victim. Again, State Street and First South here. Like you mentioned, Garna, I think it's safe to say there were thousands today. It was a very large crowd, a lot of people. It was very peaceful for most of the day. I'm going to bring in Alex Cabrero because he's been with me the whole day today and has been great to help me. Sorry, I'm a little shaky.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. And Garna, if you're listening to me, I don't have an earpiece on, so if you have to talk to me, it's to Emma. But no, this was peaceful. I covered the one earlier today at the University of Utah. Extremely peaceful. Then this started at Pioneer Park at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. Everything was fine. 7 o'clock they started marching, and they went around twice before gunshots started in this area. Now, we heard popping, but I didn't know what it was, but people started running and saying gunshots. And like Emma said, that's when we noticed a body on the ground, and immediately dozens of police officers running towards a parking garage. And then we're hearing that just down this road here on First South by State Street is where they might have some kind of a suspect in custody. That's just what we're hearing right now. And also, we heard one of the organizers with No Kings making it very clear that this was not something associated with their events. This was someone on the outside agitating violence, agitating chaos, which is something I know law enforcement was very worried about throughout the week, that there might be an outsider causing violence. And Again, we don't have nothing confirmed at this point, but this is what we're hearing happened.
Yeah, and again, earlier at Pioneer Park at 6 p.m., they had a lot of speakers, and time again, they kept emphasizing that this was supposed to be a peaceful protest, that there should be no violence whatsoever, that the goal of this was to be peaceful, to make your voices heard, of course. And so law enforcement, again, standing by in the case that this did happen. And it did. It looks like they were able to act very swiftly and quickly, get everyone to a safe spot. They keep pushing us kind of up the street so that we're away from the scene here. Again, it looks like there's a presence down the street there. We don't know exactly what's going on. We have heard some people say they saw someone in handcuffs, not confirmed yet. So we'll just have to keep you updated on that. So, Garna, I'm sorry, there's not much I can tell you about this time. I think we're a little shaken up. It's just, it was a scary situation. Like Alex said, I also heard some popping noises. I wasn't sure what it was. I thought it was one of the bikes or a car or something, and then I saw people just kind of frantically running into my direction. And fortunately, Alex was right there. He just grabbed me. He said, "Run to cover." And so we took cover, as a lot of people did, very swiftly. And it looks like police have blocked off the area. They're surrounding the area. They're doing the work that they need to do right now. So, looks like we have a chopper up in the air to get a chopper 5 up in the air to get a view from up above to show you what's happening. Again, most of the day, very peaceful. Alex covered the protest this morning. It was very cordial, not a lot happening in this regard. And then again, Pioneer Park, we witnessed a few verbal disagreements, but nothing physical. No violence whatsoever, and then people marched along State Street. Oh, we do have Chopper 5 up in the air to give you a view from above of what is happening down here. Again, we do have some police cars still, some ambulances down the street. Just to recap, we did see one body on the ground. We don't know the condition of that person or if there was more than one victim yet. So we'll just have to keep giving you the updates as we get them from police. We don't know if the suspect is in custody. We heard that from witnesses that they saw them being put into handcuffs, but we don't know. It sounds like they are not organized with this event. But Garna, that's all we have for now, and I'll send it back to you.
Emma, thank you so much. And please stay safe out there. And the same message goes to anyone that may have attended this event or is in the downtown area. What you are seeing here is Chopper 5. This is a live look at, I'm going to ask my producer to give me the crossroads of where he's at. What I can tell you is that Emma Benson is at 100 South and State Street. That's where she has been reporting from. We've been giving you multiple live looks. Here, this is downtown Salt Lake. There's a blue car. There's several items that are on the street, on the road. And these, from what we've seen earlier today, I'm going to put those pieces together with the caveat that this is a very fluid situation, but this looks like the area where paramedics may have performed some medical procedures. We heard gunshots. We saw someone on the floor, on the ground, and we did hear through the police scanner that someone had been shot in the abdomen. Immediately after that, we saw a swarm of police officers run towards that spot where we were seeing those live scenes. They started saying that there was something or someone in a garage. We saw them rush in that direction. We saw several protesters, people who were taking cover, hiding behind cement blocks, wherever they could, as they were watching this and hearing those gunshots. What we are also seeing a few moments ago, you're not seeing it right now, but a few moments ago, we saw a man who was put into an ambulance. Based on what we've been observing, we believe that person could potentially be a person of interest or a suspect. At some point, they had handcuffs. They were then taken and loaded into an ambulance. Alex Cabrero, Emma Benson are on live at the scene, and what they're telling us is that they're hearing that this incident may have been caused by an agitator, someone that is outside, that is not necessarily part of the rally. Organizers throughout the day with these No Kings rallies have been calling on a peaceful protest, a time for people, but doing so in a way that is peaceful. denouncing any type of violence. And here we are, this incident unfolding less than an hour ago, where we started to hear those gunshots, and that is the sound that nobody wants to hear. Here again is the area of downtown Salt Lake. You can see that apartment building, the Sky Apartments. That's where we believe those gunshots came from just moments ago. Waiting for police to give us an update, but understanding that they are needing to secure the scene to understand what is happening. They've started to lay out yellow tape, as you can see there. Our camera crews have been pushed back. You are seeing them running in another direction right now. I don't know what is happening. We are all watching this in very real time. Let's see here. Okay, this is a black truck that is swerving through this area. Okay, Chopper 5 is going to follow it. I'm going to Emma, let's take it to Emma. Emma, where are you at? What are you seeing?
Hey, I am still at the corner of State Street and First South in downtown Salt Lake, as this situation is still continuing to be underway. I'm just talking to some people here who are waiting to see what happens. This is Lee, right? Tell me your name again.
Lee Adams.
Okay, Lee, tell me what you heard or saw.
All peaceful. People were marching. I was on a side street catching up with the group, and a lot of people just starting sprinting, saying active shooter. Quite worried, moving away, and then fairly large police presence moved in and moved people out. And fortunately, nobody was arraigned at police. They were doing their job, but I think everybody was quite nervous and frustrated that this was happening.
Did you hear any gunshots, anything of the sort?
I did not. I saw police with long rifles and moving away quickly, and then a man on the ground in cuffs that they had. And of course, all the ambulances that arrived immediately after that.
Okay, so you did see a person over there get cuffed by police?
I did, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Clearly they have it under control and not using anything excessive with the crowd, so that was good to see.
Obviously, this was meant to be a very peaceful protest, non-violent whatsoever, and yet this is what we're dealing with at this moment. Can you tell me just your feelings right now?
Why is this necessary, right? There's just so many peaceful people here, all walks of life, right? We're all very different and, demonstrating for the things we believe in. And who knows what happened there. I'm sure it was just an errant person, but good to see the police and the crowds on the same side.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lee. I'm glad you're safe. I appreciate you talking with us. Thank you so much. Hey, I just want to show you over here again what's happening. Again, down the street here, it looks like there's an ambulance. Still some police presence, as Lee and other witnesses have told us. They said that they did see someone being put in cuffs by police. Again, we don't have that confirmed yet, since we haven't had a chance to speak with law enforcement, but we have been told by several witnesses that that's what they saw, that we have heard that they are not affiliated with the organization, the people who organized this protest. We're not exactly sure anything about the suspect at this time or how many victims. Again, we did see one body on the ground earlier as paramedics worked on that person. Don't know anything about them or if there was more than one victim. But it looks like still quite a few people here just standing on the street. Again, corner of State Street and First South in downtown Salt Lake City here. Just kind of waiting to see what happens as we're watching law enforcement to see what happens next. We're looking at the ambulance, the police presence down the street there. It looks like the roads are still blocked off. Again, we don't know a lot at this time. We do know that there was a shooter during the protest, that there was at least one victim. We don't know if there were more than that. Again, majority of the day, very peaceful protest. That's how it was meant to be. Law enforcement was standing by in case something like this were to happen. And as we went to Pioneer Park earlier today, we heard a lot of speakers, and they all said, stay peaceful. This is not going to be violent. This is a peaceful protest, so we can raise our voices and share our opinions here, as that is the purpose of this No Kings protest. And yet, shots were fired. It was a very scary moment. Alex and I heard the gunshots, and fortunately, we're safe. A lot of others around us are safe at this time, and it looks like, again, a large police presence. We're still waiting to hear yet if the suspect is in custody and how many victims. Garnell, I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, Emma. Thank you for keeping us informed, and we appreciate also hearing from that bystander. I believe you said his name was Lee. What you are seeing right now is a live look from Chopper 5. Now, the area in question is State Street between 1 and 200 South. That is where you can now see this yellow tape, this strong concentration of police presence, and investigation underway after shots were fired. Now, I'm being told by producers we're going to take you back about 20 to 30 minutes ago, maybe an hour or so, when all of this started happening. We're going to go back. You can see here, this is a UDOT traffic camera. You start to see the crowd disperse and people start to run. Simultaneously, here in the newsroom, we started to hear a lot of activity on police scanners. The words shots fired. You can see areas where people at this point are understanding what is happening. They are taking cover, they are hiding, and you start to see police moving in. They started to say, you know, run towards the garage, go to the garage, and that's what we were also seeing them run inside a garage. Now, those are the Sky apartment building. That is State Street between 1 and 200 South in downtown Salt Lake, and you see people running and moving very quickly. We start to also hear from organizers that this may have been an agitator, maybe not someone associated, someone looking to cause chaos and cause harm. And we did also see, we will not be showing this part, but we saw here in the newsroom someone on the ground, and we saw people rushing to provide aid. We assume that is our victim, and we'll have to wait for confirmation from police. But very fluid situation, very difficult for those that experienced it. We've been hearing throughout the day, throughout the country, calls for a peaceful protest. The Salt Lake City Police Department telling us that they have been preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best, asking for extra assistance from nearby agencies. They've been deploying drones. Everything they can do to ensure that people can come out and gather safely. The crowd was very large. What you're seeing here, I'm going to tell you real quick, this is the area where we believe the person was injured and aid was rendered to them. You can see the yellow tape. You can see bags, I'm guessing medical equipment possibly. Now, again, these are just initial reactions of what we think happened and unfolded. This is very real, very fluid situation. The crowd size, I was telling you about that. 6,000 people, we were thinking in the newsroom. This crowd was so large, it was taking up 3 city blocks from the beginning, the front of it, to the end of it. It's very possible that some of those that were marching did not hear this activity, this gunshots. I'm getting news from my producer, you guys. I'm going to send it back out to Emma Benson. She is on the ground, and she's got another eyewitness that she is going to speak to. So let's send it to her. Emma?
Yeah, Garna, I'm here with Autumn. She said that she was very close to what happened. She heard the shots fired. Can you tell me what you heard and saw?
Yeah, so me and my nephew, we were on the opposite side of the shots fired, and we heard them. We heard people screaming that it was possibly fireworks, and then everyone just started running, and we ducked behind like a... I'm actually not sure where it went, but we ducked behind a little garage and then ran to the other side, saw the man on the ground. Police escorted everyone out of the way really fast. Yeah.
What were you thinking and feeling in that exact moment?
I was shaking. I was very nervous. I've heard gunshots before. I've seen shootings before, but in such a big crowd, not knowing where they're coming from, it's a lot more scary. Yeah.
Yeah. Looks like you're getting a little emotional, but it's okay.
Scary, yeah.
I feel the same way. It was very scary.
Me and my family, we're super against like any kind of murder. We say abolish the death penalty, so we don't stick with any kind of murder. So any kind of death is very hard on us, yeah.
And this is not what we expected to come out of today. We were hoping it would be a very peaceful protest, right? Did you start out here at Pioneer Park with the crowd as well?
Yeah, I did. And it started very peaceful. Everyone was dancing, music, peaceful. And then second lap around is about when we heard the gunshots, yeah.
A really terrifying moment. How long are you planning on staying out here? And is your family okay as well?
Yes, my family's right there and over here, but Probably a while. I heard it's best to kind of stay to make sure everything's okay, keep the protest, like what I'm protesting for. So, yeah, I'll probably stay for a little bit till that's all cleared. Yeah.
Did you see, I've heard from several people that they saw the police put someone into handcuffs. Did you see that happen?
I didn't see it happen, but I did see the police, a bunch of police with their guns chase after someone into a parking garage, but I didn't see them handcuff the guy.
Okay. Well, Autumn, thank you so much for sharing and for your time. I'm glad that you and your family are okay, so thank you. Okay, Garna, again, we are still waiting on some confirmation here on the suspect, on number of victims, but we'll be sure to keep you informed as we stay here on the scene with a large presence of law enforcement, ambulance down the street as well. We'll keep you informed. Send it back to you.
Thank you, Emma. And what we are seeing right now, this is the area of State Street between 1 and 200 South, and you are seeing officers. They were putting some items into a black bag. They're now loading those into the back of their SUV, what I'm assuming to be evidence that will be used to try to understand what happened here today. We heard Emma talking about, a witness talking about someone being put into handcuffs, and if you've been with us, you saw who we believe that person was. They were in handcuffs. They were not wearing a shirt. And then we saw them eventually loaded into an ambulance. That is not the person that we believe was the shooting victim. And so we believe this is either a person of interest, maybe our shooter, or it could just be someone else. We are waiting and working to get you more information from this very fluid and quickly evolving situation, just tragic and unexpected end to what was supposed to be a peaceful protest. This is the No Kings rally. It started at Pioneer Park around 6 o'clock this evening, and we saw a very large crowd quickly swell to the thousands of people, some estimating 6,000. I've heard numbers as high as 10,000 people. A lot of people either way, walking about 3 city blocks, or taking up about 3 city blocks. They started walking from Pioneer Park and headed east towards the federal building on State Street. About an hour ago, we heard police activity and started to see a lot of movement, heard what we believe were gunshots. And then we saw a person, you heard a witness there describe that person as a man laying on the ground, and others rushing to their aid. Quickly after that, we saw police running towards a garage and saying, in the garage. We believe that may be where they located a suspect or a person of interest. This is the area of State Street between 1 and 200 South. What you're seeing here is this active scene. There is yellow tape. The area is closed off. If you are heading to this area, you will want to find an alternate route, because this will likely last several hours as they put the pieces together, as they try to understand what happened here. We did hear initially from organizers that they were calling for people to protest peacefully. The police department making the same calls. I'm hearing we have another update from Emma Benson, who is out on the ground in the field where this is all unfolding. Emma, where are you at and who are you with?
Hey, Garna, I'm still here in between 1st and 2nd South and State Street in downtown Salt Lake City, where police still have the roads blocked off, large police presence here as well. I've been talking to some witnesses, some people who are still here in the area, as well as these 3 siblings right here who weren't actually here for the protest, but you just stumbled upon this and saw and heard a bit about what happened, right?
So yeah, we were standing right here, and we were just listening to the drums playing and stuff. And then it was right about that time we just heard somebody yell, active shooter, and we saw people running. Like just a crowd of people running this way. And so we stayed there for a second just because we thought people were yelling, and then walked over this way and saw somebody on the ground. There were cops huddled around him, and that was really about the end of it. This guy over here was yelling, like he came up running saying, yeah, like I saw it happen right in front of my face, but that was pretty much a gist of it.
Did you guys take cover? Where did you go?
Well, we just kind of freaked out. We were just trying to stay together. I was freaking out. He was trying to keep us together. He was running. We were just trying to, just all be together. There were a bunch of people huddled like underneath the building. And we just kind of were making sure that no one just yelled something, and it was like mass panic, like a bunch of people getting together. And then we heard the active shooter and was like, oh, we got to get out of here. We got to figure out what's going on.
Oh my goodness. Really a scary situation, right? And I was right there too. I totally understand it. And tell me again, Randy? Okay, Randy, tell me your thoughts when you first heard people yelling and saw people start running.
It was crazy. I just saw everybody was kind of just all together in one group. Everybody started running, and then I kind of wasn't really looking for them. I was just trying to see what was happening, and then finally I couldn't see him for a second, and then I saw him, and she was mainly freaking out, but just straight.
I wasn't freaking out. I was making sure, okay, guys, let's get out of here. Let's get together and let's get out of here. Yeah, you want to get to a safe location, of course, totally understandable. And again, just to confirm, you three were not involved with the protests today. You just happened to be in the area, right?
Yeah, just watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just happened to be in the area and saw some of what went down. Did you see anyone be put in handcuffs by police?
We did not. By that time, all the cops were coming out telling us to move back.
They were good. They were just having people clear the scene. No one was getting aggressive or anything like that. So it's just keeping people safe.
Well, thank you three for sharing what you saw and heard. Again, a scary situation. I'm glad you guys are safe. So thank you again. Appreciate it. Garna, I'll send it back to you again. We'll stay out here and try to get more updates and give them to you as we get them.
Thank you, Emma. And we do have a breaking update from the Salt Lake City Police Department now confirming that one person was critically injured. They have been taken to the hospital with, again, very serious and critical injuries. Our thoughts and prayers are with their families. We're also hearing that one person is also in custody at this time. And if you've been with us, you've seen some of these images, and we believe that we know what that person looks like that was taken into custody. The victim was rushed to the hospital shortly after all of this broke out. What you're seeing now is Chopper 5. This is the area of State Street between 1 and 200 South, and an active scene and police investigation where we believe that a man was shot. This was during the No Kings rally here in downtown Salt Lake City that started at Pioneer Park a few hours ago at 6 p.m. Police now confirming what our images with these witnesses have been telling us, that one person was critically injured and is fighting for their life at the hospital. Another man is in custody at this hour. We are waiting for further updates from police. Emma Benson, who you just heard from, is live from the scene. She was covering this protest, walked with thousands of people from Pioneer Park to this area of State Street between 1 and 200 South to see this happen. A day where people were coming out to protest. This is the No Kings rally, protesting some of the policies, including immigration policies of the second Trump administration. Organizers had called for peaceful exercise of those First Amendment rights. What you're seeing here are images from moments ago when we saw and heard gunshots, saw a person on the ground, and started to see police heading into a parking garage where we believe there was likely and possibly a suspect. I am hearing again that Emma Benson is back with us, has another update for us. She is in the area of State Street, around 200 or between 1 and 200 South. Emma, what can you tell us now?
Yeah, Garna, State Street and 200 South here in downtown Salt Lake City. The crowd is kind of dispersing as people are leaving. There are still a few people, though, staying on scene here to see if they can gather any more information. Of course, people are curious and want to know exactly what happened. But as you mentioned, we have heard that one is critically injured and in the hospital, and one suspect is in custody. And we are trying to get more information. We will give it to you as we get it. But I am here with Jonathan, who saw and heard what happened. Can you tell me what you saw and heard?
All right. So I was near the Maverick, just down there. I was with the crowds. Everything was going normal, but suddenly I heard some popping sounds just feet away. Turns out someone got shot right behind me. Turns out, I guess, sorry, I'm just really shaked up right now. I was literally like cornered right over there, and someone was telling me that there was another shooter over there, but I'm not sure. But I tried to get out through there because there's a narrow hallway, and there was just people running that way, and I was scared because I was like, where the hell am I supposed to go? There's people running that way, there's people running that way. Like, I called my dad, just in case I never got to hear them again, but I was not expecting this. I just wanted to come out, show some support for the people, but unfortunately these things do happen. I'm just happy to be alive.
Thank you, Jonathan, for sharing. And I understand it is a very scary situation. I feel a little shaken up too, since I was also really close. You said you were just feet away from where it happened, right? Can you tell me about the rest of the day? Did you go to Pioneer Park earlier today? Were you with the protesters?
Oh no, I took a front runner train here. I got here around 6:30 to 7, and I went to City Creek for a bit and saw that the protesters were around 4 South, 300 West. So I just started marching south, and suddenly I just saw the crowds build up. And you know, it was a bit eerie because for a second there, I was like, just like 2 minutes before that happened, I got like this awful feeling. Something was happening because there was so many people. The police estimate 10,000 people were here, and I believe it. Like, they were just going in a circle. There was too many people. It was like, it's very tight in here, and 2 minutes later, that I just heard the shots, and people were running. There was like 20 of us trapped in that alley. That's when after that, I decided to get up around the scene where it happened, and suddenly I just saw people on the ground. I don't know if they were in handcuffs or they were injured, but I just saw people on the ground with officers and some security guard near them. And as I was scared because I didn't know what was happening, I thought tear gas was being fired. At first, I didn't think it was gunshots until some cops marched over there. They went to check up on us. We were a group of 20, and they told us that one shooter was in custody, but they said there might be more. They said there might be. It's not confirmed. Don't take it from me, but it's just very chaotic out here right now. I don't blame people if they want to go home. I'm leaving just right now, but
yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're safe, Jonathan, and you're doing okay. Very chaotic. I will agree with you. Very chaotic. Again, we don't know yet if there was more than one shooter. So far, we have only been told that one suspect is in custody. So we'll continue to update you as we get more information. Garna, Dan.
Thank you, Emma. And as you heard, Dan Rascone is with us at this time. Dan, as we were just reviewing our footage from, watching this unfold, it was 7:58 that we started to hear a lot of activity on the police scanners, that we heard gunshots, that we had actually photojournalist Avi Robledo was just feet away from where we believe a man was shot. That victim, that man we now know is in critical condition. Police also confirming that there is one suspect in custody. At this time, we don't know if they are looking for any other people of interest or suspects, but from looking at this footage, Dan, we're starting to see them set up a perimeter here, this crime scene, but we're not seeing them running after someone. So maybe that's a good sign that this is a contained situation at this point.
Yeah, that person that Emma interviewed right there kind of sums things up about how scary this was. We saw people literally running for their lives.
Yeah.
You hear the gunshots, you hear them going off, people running and scattering. Here it is right there. You begin to see people just start to scatter. I mean, you're talking about a protest here that estimates of 10,000 people or so that are marching peacefully. People are enjoying themselves, they're moving forward, and then suddenly that gunfire goes off, and you can see people literally running for his life. That young man, obviously, he was very shaken up. He started to get emotional there, and that kind of gives you a little idea just how scary this was for many of the people that were out there and them running. Again, as you mentioned, one person, it appears that one person has been injured. Again, we don't know if there's others involved, but you could see police in this video and others. A lot of police activity going on in this area, obviously still searching to see if there's others involved.
And I mean, the significance isn't lost on me. This young man, Jonathan, saying that the first person he called was his dad, not knowing what to do or where to go. And from what we've seen in that footage, the person, the victim, would be of age to be a father. And so that's just something that weighs on you at this time. Let's send it out to Alex Cabrero.
Yes, Alex Cabrero now joins us live there on the scene. Alex, tell us where you're at and kind of what the scene is at that location.
Yeah, Dan and Garner, right now I'm at about 300 East and 100 South. It's about 2 blocks away from where all this went down, but we're out in this location because this is where Salt Lake City Police said that they were going to talk to us here and answer some questions in a little bit and give us the latest information as to what they have. Garner, I heard you mention that you said that things were very tense at one point when police were running, chasing somebody, and Emma and I were maybe 20, 25 feet away from where the shooting happened. We heard the pops, we heard the shots, weren't really sure what was going on yet until we started seeing people running up the street towards us. We immediately took cover, and I got to tell you right away, there were dozens of Salt Lake City and other law enforcement police officers that got on this scene and started chasing someone into a parking garage and then into that location where you see the camera shot right now, which is about 200 East and 100 South. We are waiting for police to give us the latest information to figure out what exactly happened, what can be confirmed at this point. Garner and Dan, I heard you mention that the person who was shot is, I think you said critical condition. We're hoping that, if that remains critical or getting better, but we're hoping it's certainly not worse. But what we can tell you, at least from this vantage point, is, I was at the No Kings protest at the University of Utah earlier this morning at about 10:30. Very peaceful, very hot. Everybody was in a good mood, and it left peacefully. Then over here, when we started at Pioneer Park at 6 o'clock at night, everything was fine too. The march was fine, and they started doing laps here near the federal building, and that was fine too. It looked like it was tapering off, that people were starting to go home, when all of a sudden we heard those shots and people started running and police officers started going after someone who we understand that they got on the ground here and arrested. So Dan and Garner, again, a lot of what we have right now is just hearsay. It's just from witnesses. As soon as we get a chance to talk police officers, we will certainly get that latest information and pass it along to you.
Alex, real quick, you said you're only about 25 feet away or so when that shooting happened. Describe to us kind of were people running in a certain direction, or could you tell where the shots were coming from, and just tell us kind of a little bit more how scary that must have been?
It was right near in front of the federal building here. I think the Sky Apartments or the Sky Condos might be there, Dan. It was on, what is that, State Street there. And all of a sudden people started running this way. What is it? That is north. People started running to the north because the shots were coming from the south of us, about 25 feet away. A few people that were a little further south that were still part of the march, they were still chanting, "No Kings, USA, no Kings." They didn't even know what happened because it was so loud with the chanting and with the protesting. There were thousands of people here. So if you weren't in that immediate area, you might not have heard the gunshots because things were so loud on both sides with the protesting and with the chanting. But I think when people started seeing others running, that's when the chanting kind of stopped a little bit, just because why are people running? You know, that certainly gets your attention. And then the worst thing comes to your mind. They're running because something is dangerous. So instinctually, you take a second. Did I really hear what I think I heard? And then you realize I need to get down. Em and I, we hid. We got to a safe spot. We had to go up and get our photographer, Wesley Barton, who was even a little bit closer to where the shootings happened. He just dropped the tripod and he took cover as well. And then we see police officers running. We see the man that was on the ground that was shot and medics rushing to him to try to help him as quickly as possible. And then it was just pure chaos for a little while because what do you do? You know, honestly, what do you do, Dan and Garner? So police officers are directing us, keep making us go a little bit further north, get out of the crime scene, get out of the danger zone, just because at that point nobody had been arrested or detained just yet. So we were in the middle of it, and eventually they moved us about a block and a half out, and then some police cars going by here now, and then we hear that they do have somebody detained and arrested. That's when I think the level kind of decreased a little bit, the emotion, the adrenaline, simply because it looked like that the danger was over. And Garner, that's what I was mentioning. You said that it looked like we don't know if they're looking for another person, but certainly after that one person was detained, it certainly felt like the adrenaline decreased a little bit because the police believe they got their person. So it was tense, but I have to be honest. Police were on it seconds, Dan and Garner, seconds. They were there. So I know a lot of people are thankful that they were there because, all week this is what law enforcement was worried about. They knew that the protest was supposed to be peaceful. The No Kings organizers told police all along that they're planning on it being peaceful. That's a big tenet of their organization, is to have nonviolent protests. But then when this happens, everything goes away. You know what I mean? There was an organizer with No Kings who told us this person has nothing to do with the No Kings organization. This is not what they wanted. This was somebody acting on their own, and they're saddened that this protest that they had is kind of dampened by the events that happened tonight. Dana Garner.
Boy, scary situation out there. Alex, I'm glad you're okay. Stay with us there. Of course, we're going to come right back to you there and just be able to talk a little bit more about kind of what the latest is, but we're going to go ahead and pass on to
we're
Emma.
hearing Emma Benson has more information. She's giving us another vantage point from this very active scene. This is the area of State Street between 1 and 200 South where shots rang out. There is one person critically injured, one person in custody. Emma, where are you and how are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay, Garna. Thanks for asking. Still a little shaken up. You know, it was a scary situation. Like Alex said, we were pretty close to it when it happened, and we heard popping noises, and people started running, and so we kind of just took cover. And then I saw cops, police officers, just bolting into the nearby parking garage of the Sky Apartments and chasing after someone. And we have heard that that suspect is now in custody. That one person was shot and is critically injured. We did see the body on the ground. Sorry, I'm okay. But anyway, we are again at State Street in between 1st and 2nd South here in downtown Salt Lake City. I've been talking to eyewitnesses tonight who have also seen and heard what happened this evening. I'm here with Kiz Mayo. Tell me what you saw and heard.
So we're in front of the federal building. We heard gunshots, and then we start running towards the church. We passed the 200, what's that one? 700, 200 Street. We go towards past the church. There are another gunshot here. People go inside the church, and then we come back this way in front of the law firm, and we see a guy with long hair, looks like a evil version of Tarzan tan, and they put him in handcuffs, and they get him in an ambulance. And we yell out, people are yelling at him that he was the shooter, and then he goes, going to the ambulance, he goes, I'm the one who got shot. I'm the victim. So I don't know exactly who is who, but it's kind of confusing is everywhere. Like, we don't know exactly.
Yeah, we're still waiting on confirmed information here. And so just a lot of kind of hearsay and things that we've heard witnesses report. But tell me what was going through your mind when you first saw people running and heard those noises.
First, we heard gunshots in front of the federal building. Everybody starts running. People, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get shot. I'm like, should I call my mom, my brother, my sister? Very scary. And I kind of felt bad because I'm really fast, but people was like trembling onto the ground. I'm like, do I go back? What do I do? I helped this old lady up. I was like, ma'am, are you okay? I told her, go in the garage. I'm trying to direct people to go this way, go hide. I'm telling people go inside the church, go inside the garage. We even saw some local news people go inside the garage, and it was really bad. It was really bad, and then it was really scary. And I'm just trying to celebrate a peaceful protest, even though I'm a DOG fan. It's the president's birthday today, so I was just trying to do a peaceful protest, and then this should not be happening. It's really, really sad.
Yeah, because you mentioned that you were out here not only today, but you've been out here on Thursday. You've been to the other protests that have been organized as well, right?
Yes, I was at Washington Square Park. It wasn't as bad as this. It was more peaceful. I mean, there was a little havoc, and I got into some incident. We're not going to talk about that, but there was no gunshots at Washington Square Park. And today, unfortunately, I don't know who was who. Was it the red team, the blue team? I don't know. it's pretty sad. We don't know who exactly the shooter is. I have a couple of videos. I'm going to send it to you guys. But yeah, it's really sad. Washington Square was way more peaceful than today.
Right. Well, thank you so much for your time and for sharing that. Garner, Dan, I'll send it back to you for now.
All right. Thank you very much. Emma Benson live out there on the scene, a little shaken up. Boy, she's right there in the midst of this. Also, Alex Cabrera was right there, just feet away from those gunshots being fired. Very scary experience for many people out there. Again, just recapping a little bit. This was, what did you say, about 7:58 or so this evening?
Yeah, it was about 7:58. We were actually watching. Their live feeds are coming into the newsroom. Alex is there to spot Emma Benson in an abundance of safety precaution that we have. And we also had two other photojournalists. We had Chopper 5. They had just left to go refuel. And we're getting this, on the ground look when we start to hear what were gunshots, and we start to quickly hear police scanners. Again, about 7:50, 7:55, 7:58, we see someone on the ground and medics rushing to give them what we assume are those life-saving measures. That person now in critical condition. And as you heard from this last witness, there was a man that was put in handcuffs. We eventually saw him also loaded into an ambulance. And maybe some statements there made that were a little bit confusing. We'll have to wait to hear from police. He
said, hey, I'm the victim here.
I'm the victim.
I'm not the shooter.
But he doesn't look like the person that we saw on the ground.
Exactly.
So that's, maybe there's more than one victim. We are going to have to wait for Salt Lake City Police to speak to that. Their investigation, very active. They did tell us they have been preparing for this. They have been, preparing for the worst, but hoping for the best, calling for people to peacefully assemble, and they've been working with multiple agencies. We know that Unified Police Department, the Department of Public Safety, Sheriff's Office are all were ready to provide support. That may be why they were able to react so quickly. They had so many people.
As Alex said, the police were in action and they're ready to go very quickly there. Let's go ahead and go back out to Alex Cabrera right now. He's live there. Alex, what do you have for us?
Well, Dan, since we last chatted with you and Garner there, again, I'm still at 100 South and 300 East here in downtown Salt Lake City, waiting for Salt Lake City Police to give us a statement, to do a little press conference here. They told us to start gathering here because they were on their way. But since we last chatted with you, about 5 minutes ago, we noticed another 4 or 5 police cars head over here, a fire engine from Salt Lake City as well, to try to keep this road blocked off. They're still saying that it is an active crime scene, and they don't want anybody to go through this particular area at about 100 South and 200 East, just because they want to make sure that the crime scene that they say is there, that all the evidence that is possible to collect will be collected. But Dan, yes, this is something that Salt Lake City Police and law enforcement agencies all throughout Utah have been talking about and preparing for. Even though this was all meant to be done as peaceful protests, police say you never know when there might be an agitator or someone who wants to come in and just create violence and chaos, which is seems like initially exactly what happened out here. But it is something that police said all along. In fact, it was just yesterday I spoke with Department of Public Safety with Commissioner Jess Anderson, and he says that they have learned a lot from 5 years ago. We had those big protests downtown, as you remember, Dan, and Garner, you were here too 5 years ago when that all went down. And police and law enforcement tell me that they did learn a lot from 5 years ago, that instead of just maybe staying in the background if things start to happen, they said that as soon as something happens, they will converge on the scene quickly. They will take care of the situation. They will arrest and detain anybody that needs to be taken down. And honestly, Dan and Garner, that is exactly what happened. So all the preparation, all the planning, and all the talking that law enforcement has been doing all across the valley, it paid off here today, because from the time, when we heard gunshots to the time that we heard that there was a suspect in custody, I mean, I don't know the official time what they're going to say, but it had to be 10, 15 minutes. It was pretty quick to when they had somebody down. And again, when police arrived after the shooting, it was seconds. Dozens of police officers just running with their guns, their rifles, their weapons out, telling everybody to get down, telling everybody to get out, and trying to make the scene as safe as possible after, honestly, what was not a very safe scene there when that shooting went down, Dan and Garner. So we have some video running here of the moment that this happened. Marchers were just coming north there on State Street, getting past the federal building in front of those Sky Apartments, when all of a sudden you could hear a few pops. I believe there was a few pops, and then And then people just started running. And that's when we knew we had to take safety ourselves. But again, credit to Salt Lake City police officers and other law enforcement who acted quickly. This is, again, what they were worried about all along, that there would be somebody agitating, creating chaos. And but police took care of the situation. And just people walking by us here now telling us that they are so sad that this happened, that this was not supposed to happen. No matter what side you're on, it just seems things, Dan and Garner, are so politically charged right now and so divided on both sides, yelling at each other, that this is the last thing I think any side wants. But where do you go from here? Where are future protests safe? What can police do even more that they haven't done, if there's anything they can do? At the end of the day, if you're just talking about a single lone person who wants to do something like that, that is very hard to stop. And that is the reality of the situation. Police did the best job, again, getting the person in custody. But when you're talking about large-scale events like this and protests downtown, it is something in the back of your mind that could happen. And tonight it did happen. Dan and Garner.
Alex, real quick, can you tell us a little bit about, has the demonstrators pretty much dispersed then? I mean, are people still hanging out around there, or this big demonstration pretty much is all broken up and they've gone home now, or what's the latest out there? What can you see?
It has dispersed pretty well, Dan. There were, there were thousands here for the protest. Maybe it started going down. People were heading home anyway because we were toward the end of this particular protest, of this event that was planned tonight. So a lot of people were already heading home. After the shooting, a lot of people stuck around because you felt like you went through something traumatic with a bunch of other people, and you're just kind of hanging around talking to each other about it. Like, what did you see? Can you believe this? What did you hear? I'm so happy we're okay. I feel so bad for the person that was shot. You kind of share your emotions with those who were there with you when it happened. So yes, there were still a few hundred protesters that were around, maybe even 1,000 protesters. Here goes another police car over here from Salt Lake City. And you just kind of share that with each other. But it's been more than an hour now. People have started going home. The scene where they brought somebody down, there were maybe a few dozen people that were part of the event that were still there. But just standing here another block away, waiting for police to chat with us, we've noticed people that were leaving and getting in their cars and going home.
Out there, and as soon as officers do show up to give us an update there, we'll come to you live there in that situation.
That's right. And as Alex was mentioning to us, he is it felt very quickly with him from the moment that the shot was fired, that we saw that victim, to a man taken into custody. What we can tell you is that we saw a lot of this unfolding here from multiple camera angles inside the newsroom. And actually, when we took that first live look with Alex, we were looking at someone being handcuffed and then loaded into an ambulance. So it couldn't have been more than 15 to 20 minutes between that first shot and someone taken into custody.
Yeah, Chopper 5 here has been giving us that view,
yes,
as we mentioned here earlier, that view from Chopper 5, that live location right there, that apparently is where the victim was hit by the gunshots. And right there between 100 and 200 South and State Street, and this happening just before the 8 o'clock hour, basically 7:58, 7:59, right around there. And right now we're still trying to determine if there's one victim, if there's more than that. Police have let us know that there's one person that's critically injured, as you see there on the screen, in this protest. We had some 10,000 people or so that were marching peacefully from Pioneer Park and making their way up State Street, heading north, as Alex said, then when suddenly the shots went out. But again, a live look here from Chopper 5 here of the actual scene of where that person was shot. Apparently, the officers were able to respond very quickly and arrest the suspect within minutes. That goes to show you just where they were located and the vantage point that officers had and how they were prepared for something like this.
You know, to kind of had, because this crowd, its largest point had swollen to be so big, it was taking up 3 city blocks. And just before those shots were fired, we were watching this, and just this incredible sea of people walking up and down State Street. They were headed towards the Wallace F. Bennett Federal Building, was our understanding. We did see them kind of circle around, so we were trying to see, maybe it's just so large they didn't know where to stop, maybe head back to Pioneer Park. and that's when these shots were fired, a person critically injured. If you are just now joining us, this is the area of State Street between 1 and 200 South, and you can expect blocks in every direction will be closed for the next several hours. Avoid the area if possible. If you have a loved one, someone that participated in this rally, you'll want to make contact with them, but give each other the space to get out of downtown at this hour. Police activity investigation unfolding here as they try to understand what happened. We've heard from organizers who quickly said, we called on a peaceful protest. This is an outlier, someone that was looking to be an agitator and frighten and cause violence in the community.
Yeah, you know, we keep showing some of the same video here, but the reason why we keep showing some of the same video, because this really illustrates what happened and how quickly it unfolded downtown. Again, as we've been talking about, 10,000 people or so in this area. I mean, when shots go off, it's going to be a very terrifying experience. Some of the emotions coming from some of those that we interviewed, getting very emotional about the experience that they had.
And not knowing which direction to
go.
Exactly. Right?
Like,
as we're seeing this happen in the newsroom, we're seeing everyone running in every direction. You're trying to figure out where those sounds coming from.
Even Alex and Emma there. Let's get back to Emma Benson, who's there live at the scene. Emma, where are you at, and what do you see right now?
Hey guys, yeah, we're still here, 100 South and State Street. It looks like the crowd has mostly dispersed and cleared out. There were a lot of people earlier, but most of them have gone home. Understandably so. It looks like there are still some police cars here. They had the area blocked off. I just want to point out that this is the area about right where it happened, where we heard the shots fired. People started running. It was just pure chaos, honestly. People just started running. I saw police officers run into the parking lot of that garage there of the building, Liberty Sky. It's an apartment complex. I saw them chasing someone into the parking garage. We are told again that that suspect is in custody. I did, however, see a body on the ground just on the street right here. That person was bleeding, and we were told that they have been taken to the hospital and are in critical condition. We don't know much more besides that at the time. We don't know if there were other victims. We've only been told about that one person, and we don't know if there was more than one shooter or not. We only know about the one shooter who was taken into custody. As Alex mentioned, though, police, law enforcement, they acted very swiftly. They jumped into action, trying to catch the person and administering aid to the person who was injured as well. A lot of swift, quick-thinking people here at the protest, as they were very ultra-prepared in case something like this were to happen. They were prepared for the worst, of course, as we've been talking about. The plan was for this to be peaceful, you know, and this happened, but unfortunately they were prepared for it. Again, most of the crowd has left by now. We still have lots of police officers here and people taking care of the scene, though. Back to you guys, Garnet.
All right, thanks a lot, Emma Benson, for us there. And you've been watching some of the video there of the suspect apparently in handcuffs. You know, this video, we don't know how he got injured or what happened there exactly.
We heard police yell, "Garage, garage," and we saw them rush into that garage near to the Sky Apartments there on State Street.
And here's the video right here that we've been talking about here of the suspect in handcuffs sitting on the sidewalk there. And then shortly thereafter, as we see right here, he's taken by ambulance and getting into the ambulance. Now, we don't know if this is the same guy that told that one suspect, or I mean, not the suspect, the guy that was being interviewed there, hey, I'm not the shooter, I'm the victim here, you know, that kind of thing. And we don't know why he was injured. I mean, why, you know, what happened or what transpired. If this is a shooter, you know, kind of what happened there.
We have seen, we won't be showing you those images of the victim, who we believe was the victim. We believe at this time that these images are the suspect, and we will wait for police to give us that official confirmation. We're also just coming into the newsroom, a statement from Governor Spencer Cox saying,
the shooting at tonight's protest in Salt Lake City is deeply troubling, act of violence, and has no place in our public square. This is an active situation, and we're working closely with law enforcement to ensure accountability. So again, this is a statement coming from Governor Spencer Cox just moments ago in regards to his reaction to what happened here. calling it deeply troubling and also an act of violence and no place for in this kind of thing. This is exactly what we've been covering all week long here in regards to how police have been preparing. We knew that this protest was coming this weekend. We knew it was going to be big. We knew it was going to be huge, but everybody was hoping it would be peaceful, and unfortunately, it was not.
We are now hearing that our colleague Alex Cabrero, who continues to be monitoring the situation from the scene. Alex, we're seeing you now. You can't see us, but we can see you. It looks like you're with someone. What can you tell us?
Right, Garna and Dan, this is State Senator Nate Bluen. He is. This isn't his district. He was just here as a citizen, as part of the rallies, part of the protest, just to be involved. And Nate, this is what just the mood of. So I know you don't know a whole lot now what's going on. We're waiting for police, but just the mood. This is not what we want in the city.
No, it's not. You know, I think tensions have been high. Granted, what happened in California, what we saw happen in Minnesota early hours this morning, and so this is the last thing we want to see is violence at a protest. And again, I have no insight into what the motive might have been, but certainly when people show up, they want to march in peace generally, and we support that. And tensions have been high, so this certainly doesn't help cool the tone, but we want to try and take that down.
Right, and that's something, because I know there are a lot more protests planned down in the future. This is something, unfortunately, that's going to be back of everybody's minds now, where maybe they don't want to come out and do their civic responsibility or do what they want to do because this is in the back of their mind. This is fear.
I think that's right. I think, frankly, it was frustrating to see some of these preemptive conversations happening about how the state and other law enforcement agencies were really prepared so heavily for these things. I think that raises the mood and gets people worried to begin with and raises tensions and definitely keeps people at home in some cases. I mean, there was a large crowd here. There were a couple large crowds across the state today, and situations like this are not going to help people, encourage people to show up and express their opinions and political views peacefully in the future.
Nate, maybe last question for me. Where do you go from here? You know, as a state leader, what do you tell your constituents about what happened and where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think people need to keep showing up. I mean, we've seen the mood in this country is at a level that, you know, I'm a little bit younger than some, but I've not seen tensions like this before. And I think it really stems from, frankly, from one side of the debate that we're seeing. And so we need to move beyond that. We need to get this country back to a place where we can have civil debate. And we're not seeing that modeled by state and federal leaders primarily right now. And so we need some change. Some temperature maybe on both sides. Just we need to come together. I don't know how you do that, but we keep hearing that on both sides. But how do you do that, Nate? Yeah, we need to come together, but also, I mean, I don't personally think this is a one-sided problem. I don't think this is a two-sided problem. I think this is a one-sided problem, and certainly we can all do better. But the violence seems to really be perpetrated more from one side than another, from what I'm seeing. And after what's happened in the last few hours across the country, I really hope we can acknowledge that we need to think about that and try to move beyond what we've got right now. Okay, Nate, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you. Take care. So you heard that was State Senator Nate Bluen just talking about he was here. This isn't his district. He was just here as a citizen as part of the protest. Very unfortunate. He is upset that this happened, and he's hoping that the temperature can certainly be toned down, Dan and Garna, simply because this isn't what anybody wanted, hoped for, and it's just unfortunate that it happened. Dan and Garna.
Alex, we appreciate you out there. We appreciate you doing such profound reporting for us, and with such a profound question, where do we go from here? We heard there from State Senator Nate Bluen calling for civil discourse for people to be able to express their thoughts and their ideas peacefully. And, you know, that question that we'll, I'm sure, all take to bed tonight, where do we go from here? How do we get along, and how do we prevent those agitators from taking away freedoms and people's right to peacefully protest and gather and not feel terrorized? A statement coming in at this hour.
Yeah, that's right. Mayor Aaron Mendenhall, Salt Lake City mayor, just released his statement here. The violence we've seen today in Salt Lake City and elsewhere in the country is horrific. It's just not who we are. We deserve to feel safe, especially when exercising our First Amendment rights. Thank you to the Salt Lake City Police Department for their quick action tonight to protect lives and support those marching peacefully. My heart is with you. SLC will get through this together. We also have Matt Gephardt out on the scene right now covering this event here. Unfortunate event, of course. What started as a peaceful protest suddenly turning into a shooting with one critically injured right now. We're still trying to figure out exactly if there may be more and who the shooter was and maybe his motive. Matt, maybe you could tell us where you're at and kind of what you see.
Hi, yeah, Dan Garner. I'm about a block south of where Emma's been reporting all night. She's down there close to where the shooting happened. So we're at 200 South and State Street. So earlier this evening, a couple hours ago, right down State Street here is where the protesters marched. They marched past the Maverick store here. They marched past that Sky building up there is the parking garage, and where you see that heavy police presence down there. There's a heavy police presence down here. We parked several blocks away and had to walk in. This whole area is cordoned off, which is frankly pretty rare as on the number of shootings and other major breaking news events that we've seen. This is a full block away from where it happened, and this entire intersection is blocked off. Not only that, when we first arrived, there were probably 3 times as many police officers here as there are now. But you can see, I mean, when this happened, they deployed. These guys you see across the street here, these are some of the equipment we haven't seen since, riots broke out a couple of years ago. So they really locked this down quickly. As has been reported and as we've been talking about, they were prepared to move in very quickly, and no question about it, they did. Along 200 South, if you don't have to drive downtown tonight, don't come downtown tonight. It's very busy downtown. Everything's shut down. We've seen UTA buses backed up, 15 or 20 long. Poor people who parked along State Street here trying to get to their cars, having to be let in and escorted out one by one. So still quite a big police presence really throughout the entire downtown area for a shooting that took place a few blocks that way. Of course, a lot of that is probably trying to secure the scene because they don't exactly know what their scene is. They have to go around and they have to try to collect evidence from all over the place depending on what this turns out to be. So but just a major police presence really for blocks in every direction from where the actual shooting took place.
Your vantage point there, do you see, I mean, we're kind of panning around there a little bit. I don't see a lot of people, but are there a lot of people gathered in various places still out there, just kind of onlookers, kind of wondering what to do?
There are some onlookers, but really no. As we were walking in, we walked up 2nd South, if you're familiar with downtown, past Capitol Theater, and we saw swarms of people who, based on their signage and their attire, they appeared like they were probably coming from the protest and kind of working their way out of downtown. At this point, most of the people that you see standing around appear to just kind of be watching what's going on. And it's really more of it feels very much more like a looky-loo situation than any sort of active thing going on down here at the moment.
Of course, you were part of the riots out there. What was that, 5 years ago or so?
This is all feeling like deja vu.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously we're not seeing the violence in any form at that time. But at the same time, as far as police presence, this is huge. I mean, there's police everywhere, it looks like.
Well, you heard Alex Cabrero talk about it. A lot was learned in the last 5 years from those riots, from those protests that turned into riots, and then other protests that just simply got rowdy over the course of hours. And they were certainly more prepared this time than maybe they have been in times past. And no question about it, they swarmed in here. A different kind of violence, right? So many of us were involved down and covering the protests that certainly turned into riots surrounding the George Floyd incident back in 2020. And that one was, in that case, we saw, police cars flipped over and lit on fire, and we saw all sorts of vandalism taken all over the place. As you look up and down, there were somewhere between 6,000 and 10,000 people marching down this street just a couple hours ago. I challenge you to see any destruction. I challenge you to see any litter down here. This was, from where I'm standing, from my vantage point, an entirely peaceful protest until somebody decided to pull out a gun.
Okay. Matt, and we can agree with you there. It was actually, we were just talking about that in the newsroom. It was 7:50 and we were talking about this crowd. Some said 6,000, 10,000. Police had expected maybe 4,000, but knew it could easily swell and grow much larger. And then you heard those gunshots, and quickly we saw law enforcement move in, find an area. They said run into a garage. We then saw other officers approaching, the crowd once they started to get a sense of of what that scene in that situation was, we started to hear officers going up to people and saying, hey, do you have video of this? Let us know. They are telling us tonight they have one person in custody, one person very unfortunately in critical condition, fighting for their life in the hospital at this hour. What you're seeing here is a live look at Chopper. This is the area of State Street between 1 and 200 South. And what you just heard from Matt Gephardt is, if you can, avoid the area. You're not even going to be able to get through this area at this time because it is an active scene. Yeah, we have some viewer video here. We want to show you apparently of the shooting right after it happened there. Let's take a look at what we're going to be looking at here. But this is a live look from Chopper. Here it is right here. Viewer video coming in. Boom, they start running. And again, the people that we're hearing from that were right there, even Emma and Alex. Emma, very shaken up. Alex, very shaken up in regards to kind of what happened there and the shots being fired and where do you run? Do you run north, south, east, west? And that's kind of the confusion that happened there. And you saw that crowd run in every direction. We were watching it unfold here, and we saw Emma and Alex maybe 20 to 30 feet from where we saw the victim on the ground. I mean, this is just terrifying moments. And this was right here on State Street right after it happened. Yes. And you can kind of see people disperse there. Let's go ahead and head on over to Emma Benson right now. And Emma, let us know what your latest situation is. I know it's getting dark out there now. What do you see?
Yeah, it is getting dark, and like Matt mentioned, a lot of people are choosing to go home, understandably so, and so the crowd has definitely dispersed and lessened. We still have a large police presence here. Now we're just kind of talking to some people who are just arriving to the scene and wondering what's going on, trying to get some answers. So I found Jesus here. You told me that you were in the mall when this happened, and the mall actually went into lockdown. Is that correct?
Yes, it turned me away. I tried to go to the mall, and they told me that it was closed, there was no access. And I come across the street, and I find out that there was a shooting here, and it appears that the belongings of the person still in the street. So it's very disturbing because we all wanted to see a peaceful protest, and I understand that the person that did the shooting was perhaps had like an official vest. So that would be very disturbing, right? To know that somebody was disguised as a helper, right, of the community. And so I feel a lot of concern, like everybody else here, and I haven't seen this kind of like a deserted downtown since a pandemic, and I think that all of us are really concerned about the rising crime and the potential of violence during this chaotic period, not only here but across the country, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And like you mentioned, you didn't see it actually take place or hear the gunshots, right? But you're here now. You're seeing the police tape. You're seeing the police cars. Tell me more about what's running through your mind at this exact moment.
Yeah, the vulnerability that a lot of us have, right? Because we want to be able to express ourselves. And we don't want to learn that we could be targets by someone that has an agenda. And so I think that a lot of us share that concern, and to see all this police presence, and on a summer day where all these streets would be filled with pedestrians, is now a place of fear, right? Of nobody here other than emergency services, and so this is very eerie, right? Very unexpected.
Yeah, I think you said it right when you said it's very eerie. It's a terrifying situation. Thank you so much, Jesus, for your time and for sharing your thoughts. I did just want to point out again that some of the eyewitnesses that we spoke to earlier, one of them mentioned he got very emotional and said that he tried to call his dad because he didn't know what to do, if that was the last time he's going to be able to speak to his parents. It's just a very terrifying situation. Alex and I and our photographer Wesley were kind of right in the midst of it, and we just, as soon as the crowd started running, we ran with them, tried to take cover. Again, we don't know a lot at this time. We're hoping to get more information from police soon, but at the moment we do know that one suspect is in custody. We don't know his exact affiliation. Oh,
Emma,
What's
you
going
okay?
on?
Okay.
Why
it looks
are
like
people running?
Yeah, we're good. It looks. No, it's just some skateboarders.
Oh, okay.
Just some skateboarders.
All right.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
It scared me for just a second.
You scared us.
No.
She's been
We're
through
good.
a day.
Just some skateboarders. They just got very close to the police tape, so the police are just trying to get them out of the way.
Oh.
So we're good though. We're good.
Okay.
Just some teenagers trying to have fun, but yeah. So we're good. They just got a little close to the police tape. Police got them out of the way, so we're okay.
Thank you, Emma. And we're with you. We're so grateful
yeah.
that you're out there, that you are taking the time to really keep us informed. And what a day it's been, Emma. One person has been critically injured tonight. Another suspect taken into custody. And Emma, you were just talking about, I think his name was Jonathan, that he said he didn't know which direction to run in. He called his dad, and it certainly isn't lost on us that tomorrow is Father's Day. What a sad note to be on.
Yeah, really is an unfortunate situation. Let's go ahead and head on over to Shelby Lofton there. Shelby, why don't you tell us where you're at, and thanks for joining us here and kind of what the situation is there.
Hey, good evening, you guys. Dan and Garna, we are close to where Emma is. We're at 100 South and State Street. If I'm looking up to my left, I'm seeing the state capitol. And then behind me, we're seeing a whole lot of police cars. Of course, we see this police tape. I actually just witnessed what happened in Emma's live shot, where we had, it looked like two skateboarders coming down State Street pretty fast and just went right past this caution tape area. But it's pretty obvious that this area is completely blocked off. We're looking at a lot of police officers. But I'll tell you, as far as people, I've been searching for witnesses, talking to possible bystanders. A lot of people who are down in this area were not in the area when this shooting happened. A lot of them have come down to try to see if they can piece things together. Some people were in their apartments. Some people were at work asking me, hey, I heard the commotion, I saw the lights, and I came down here to see what has happened here tonight. So a lot of people who are down here were not witnesses at this point, since the people we've encountered were not witnesses to what happened tonight. But of course, there is a lot of concern. A lot of people I spoke to were a part of the demonstration earlier today. They still have their flags, they still have their signs, but they said that they weren't here when the shooting happened. And of course, there's always that exchange. I'm glad you're safe. And they said, we're glad that you're safe. And so a lot of people have come down here to try to figure out what happened, get some eyes on the situation. I'll tell you that we came down here from further west side of downtown, and it took us quite a bit to travel just a few blocks. It probably took us about half an hour to just get to this part of downtown. The traffic is really blocked off, and several streets are blocked off as well. So it is a hassle to get here, and police are telling people to really clear the area. I will say a lot of people who are down here are riding those e-scooters, their bikes, the skateboards. I think they're just trying to get a look to see what happened earlier today. But just taking a temperature in the short time that I've been here, it's pretty calm and mild and clearing out quite a bit. When we were driving into this part of downtown, we saw so many protesters with their signs walking away from this scene. So it seems from my vantage point, a lot of people are adhering to what police have asked of them. So we're going to continue to talk to people out here, see if there are any witnesses. I spoke to one individual who took video of just the seconds after the shooting happened, and he said police told us to please leave the area, and we abided by that. We left. We decided to go home for the day. So it seems like a lot of people are listening to police. We'll continue to stay out here and bring you updates as we get them. I'll send it back to you guys.
So Garnet, or I'm sorry, in regards to what you're seeing out there right now, can you tell us a little bit about, I mean, are they telling people to go home, or are they pretty much blocking off all the streets there, getting access? We just don't see cars driving anywhere out there.
No, it's very difficult to drive. I would say, Dan, a lot of the streets are just entirely blocked off, so you can't get in anyway. I think that's why a lot of those people are getting those scooters, the skateboards, the bikes. We just saw a bicyclist pass me just now to try to get better eyes, get closer to the scene, but really you can't get a car in this area. A lot of people are doing U-turns when they figure out that this area is blocked off, and our crew, we had to walk a few blocks to get to where we are now. But it seems a lot of people are listening to police and leaving the area.
Okay.
Thank you, Shelby. And, you know, this is something that we're going to second. If you can avoid the area, please do. You won't be able to get through. This is the area of State Street between 1 and 200 South. And as Matt Gephardt told us just moments ago, and Shelby as well, is you can't get through even if you want to. It is an active scene. But there may be some changes. Matt, we're going to send it to you. What are you seeing at this point?
Yeah, Garnet, Dan, it's de-escalating, at least from a lockdown standpoint. So moments ago, there were officers in riot gear lined up through this crosswalk. They dispersed by about 50%, and then maybe 2 minutes ago, the rest of them called off. They hopped into a van. They drove back presumably towards police headquarters. Also, this intersection was entirely blocked off with police tape. So this is, to give you perspective, this is State Street. This is 200 South, a major bus thoroughfare. They've taken the tape down across in front of 2nd South. They've also taken it down here across of State Street. Many of the people, we've spoken to some of the people here, many of them were just trying to get to their cars. They'd parked along State Street, or they'd parked on the other side of where the lockdown was taking place. And so many of these people are now being allowed to go through. We've seen a lot of just pedestrian cars are now starting to make their way down to 200 South here. So definitely from a perimeter standpoint, it has de-escalated back to, from my experience, what seems much more like a standard investigation of a shooting.
So, Matt, are you seeing officers at all with kind of the riot type gear anymore or anything, or does it pretty much look like that's done with?
No. In fact, for the last 20 minutes, the officers who've had their riot gear has been resting at their boots. It's been a very non-tense situation for some time now. And everyone who had riot gear hopped into a van and drove away some 5 minutes ago.
Okay. All right, Matt Gephardt out there for us live. Thanks a lot for that update. We're finally starting to see a little bit of traffic, at least, behind him there. It looks like that intersection is starting to be a little bit more busy.
And you can see from their body language as well, right? We go to these so many times, but you can see in those officers' body language that maybe there's a sense of they're starting to relax. And the reason why I bring this up is because there's still questions about, is there maybe more than one suspect? A lot of confusion in the community right now. What police have confirmed is that there is one suspect and one person that has been critically injured. The suspect is in custody, and we'll have to wait for police, who are telling us that they will provide us with an update as soon as they are able to. I'm hearing that Alex Cabrero is going to be joining us in a minute.
Yeah, Alex is actually at the location there where apparently officers are supposed to be having a press conference, possibly. Alex, any word on when that press conference might happen?
Dan and Garner, that's what we're still waiting for here from Salt Lake City Police. They told the media to start gathering here at 100 South and 300 East, that there will be some type of a press conference at some point where they can provide some of those answers that you were talking about, Garner. Was this person acting alone? Was there a motive? What exactly happened? Did this have anything to do with the protest, or might have there been an issue between these two people before? That's all speculation. We just don't know yet. Those are all questions we want to ask, and Salt Lake City Police say they will provide answers. But let me kind of show you just the area where we're right now. There are other media members who are here as well, but in the last 10 minutes, there's a Salt Lake City police car that came here, and an officer who started putting out some of these yellow-greenish traffic cones in this section, closing down this particular corner of 100 South and 300 East, because this is where we are told the press conference will happen, that they want to get some answers out there to the public as quickly as possible. But you heard Matt Gephardt also say that it looks like that things were de-escalating a little bit, and we can certainly say that that's what we felt over the last 30 minutes as well, that once the person that they took in custody was taken away, things really seemed to be de-escalated there. There is still quite an active crime scene down there. Plenty of police cars still, plenty of caution tape as well, crime scene tape. And now, Dan and Garner, as we know, it's just a matter of waiting. And police won't know everything at this point. Let's be fair there. We can ask all the questions, but there may not be answers to everything that the people are asking right now. They're going to give us the best information they can with what they know right now, and I'm sure that they are gathering that information as we speak in order to give us, as many answers as possible in what was something that, we had thousands of people here in downtown Salt Lake City who heard this, who started running from it, who are wondering what happened, who might be dealing with a little, stress and trauma from everything that happened. So a lot of people certainly have questions, and Dan and Garner, as soon as we are able to with Salt Lake City Police, we'll get the answers from them. Back to you.
Alex, thank you, and please continue staying safe out there.
All right, we have Shelby Lofton again. Let's head on over to her. I understand, Shelby, you may have an interview there, someone that you're talking to.
Yeah, Dan and Garner, I just spoke with John Cederland here. He came out from Taylorsville tonight for the demonstration. First, I want to have you walk us through what happened when you heard. Did you hear those shots, first of all?
I didn't hear the shots. I didn't. But I was standing right over, just on the square there, and I saw a crowd of people.
1 second. Sorry, John. It looks like we have some more people trying to go past that caution tape, and they've made it pretty far. They made it further than what we saw during Emma's live shot. Looks like they're on those e-scooters that I was mentioning a little bit before. And we are seeing several officers running and yelling at them. Looks like they've stopped and they're talking with officers. But again, we're seeing people pass the caution tape. That's the second time we've seen that in the 20 minutes we've been here. John, you're shaking your head. What's your reaction to that?
It's just crazy. People going into an area that clearly they're not supposed to go into. I don't know. What are we doing?
Clearly marked off.
I know, it is. And I've been here for an hour and a half, and my car's on the other side of that, and I understand that I need to stay on this side until it's clear to go. So I don't know. People do what they want, I guess. I don't know.
So you were right here in front of this federal building.
Yes.
And walk me through those moments while we keep an eye on these scooters.
I was having a discussion with some people, just what brought us out. And, you know, why we felt it was important to come down here and be part of this big crowd. And the next thing I knew, I don't think I heard gunshots. There was a band playing, and I heard the music stop, and then I looked and saw a crowd of people, dozens of people at least, running towards me. And I kind of was just looking at that. And then I heard someone yell, "active shooter." And at that point, I looked at the people I were talking to, and they weren't there anymore. They were younger. They had already begun to run. So I looked at my wife, and we began to run. We ran down the street this way.
You ran down 100 South.
Yeah, 100 South, going east. And we got to the corner there, and there was a crowd of people there. Most of the protesters had gone past that point, but we were kind of stuck at that corner, didn't know which way to go, didn't want to come back this way, but the running had stopped. So we kind of thought, well, let's just go home, and our car's the other way. Is south from here. So we were going to go around the corner there on 200 South. And then we saw another crowd of people running towards us, and police were with them this time. And we heard some, you know, same thing. There's a gun, get out of the way, get out of the street. So we ran across the street and just ran up to this corner, basically. And at that point, it seemed like things had calmed down. But while we were waiting at the corner, some police officers arrived. They came down the street this way. You could hear their sirens. And then they also came down State Street. So we kind of felt a little more secure, but, you know, that's something you never want to do.
But talking to you and your wife, you know, you said your wife is emotional. This was a hard day.
Yeah. We couldn't go home because it was too hard to get to our car. So we went and got some dinner, and, yeah, she just said, oh, this is starting to hit me, and started to cry. And, you know, I'm a school teacher, and I always kind of had in the back of my mind, maybe I would see something like this in a school, as awful, horrible as that is. But, you know, thankfully I never did. But just to hear someone say active shooter and see people running, you know, I mean, I don't know how that's going to affect me. I mean, will I come again? I don't know. It's going to be something I'm going to have to deal with. Right now I'm probably kind of in shock about the whole thing, you know?
What goes through your mind when you're with thousands of people running and hearing that there's an active shooter?
You know what? It's really just run faster, run as fast as you can. I was holding my wife's hand, and her knee was hurt a little while ago, so she can't run that fast. And I know I was dragging her, and we got to the front doors of Harmon's here, and she says, let's go in there. And I thought, well, because I was a teacher, you know, and kind of trained, and I thought, there's no way I want to go inside anywhere. I don't want to be in Harmon's if, you know, some active shooters are coming in there. So I just kept going. And like I said, we just ended up at this corner. And then I could see that there was a pretty good police presence, at least a few here. And so we just kind of hung out here for a little while. And then we wanted to go to the other side, but we really couldn't. We couldn't cross over. We walked down a couple blocks, and it was still blocked off.
Are you still separated from your car? You still can get to where you parked?
I think they said I can get there, but I have to walk up another couple blocks.
A lot of things are blocked off down here.
Yeah.
How did that moment compare to the beginning part of your day? How was your experience at the demonstration tonight?
So we showed up a little bit later. I've been to every protest here and many more, starting with, I don't know, George W. Bush's, when he was president, we were here for protests. My wife and I have been coming to Salt Lake for protests forever. And this year we've been to virtually all of them. So we thought, oh, we'll go a little late, and park closer to where the march ends. So we got here and we walked down to Pioneer Park, and the march was just started. And so amazed to see so many people. I mean, just coming up the street, this crowd, and then you could kind of see they filled the block, and people were still coming around the corner, and we just watched thousands of people walk by. I don't know.
And what was the tone of it? Was it calm? Was it?
It was beautiful. I mean, yeah, there was some swearing, but it was mostly, these are our streets, ICE has got to go. Salt Lake City is for everybody. It was people saying what they should say, what, their First Amendment right, what they could say, what they want to say, standing up for their neighbors, standing up for the people in the community. Absolutely, completely safe. Felt completely safe. So, it's just amazing. One person, I guess, I mean, I don't know, has this horrible impact on everything. And I don't know, it's the fear that we're living in and the way that that we have to come down here and feel like we have to make our voices heard. Yesterday I said I wasn't going to come. Like I told you, I've been coming to these protests. And yesterday I said, you know what, we're old. We don't need to go anymore. And I woke up this morning and I thought about it and I thought, well, but we're two more people and who knows how many people will show up. And so we just said, okay, well, we'll go. We didn't bring signs this time, and we just wanted to be part of this coalition of people who stand up for other people's rights and can't see this going on the way it is.
Was part of your hesitation safety concerns?
No, not really. No.
But you and your wife are still down here. You said you're still recovering from this. Are you decompressing? Are you just trying?
Well, I'm telling you all this, and I guess that's making me feel more relaxed. But I'll tell you, in the time I've been down here, like just then when the person on the scooter went through there and the screaming, I mean, I could feel something welling up in me that, I don't know, fear, just real fear. And you know what? I'm old and I've seen scary things, but there were moments there that I was truly gripped with fear.
And you estimated how many people you were running with?
That I was running with?
Yeah.
Hundreds. Maybe. It was like everybody here, so maybe a couple hundred people left this area. And then when we got to the corner, I don't know, maybe there was 100 or so people there.
Well, John, we're glad you and your wife are safe tonight. Thank you for sharing your story.
Of course.
And thanks to you for sticking around, and also we're going to keep an eye on whatever was happening with the e-scooter situation just down the street here on State Street, but it looked like police were talking to those individuals. But there's one account from someone, he's still down here, still shaken, speaking with his wife. Glad they're safe tonight, but it sounds like things took a change in tone and direction when they were at the demonstration tonight because of this shooting. Well, that's what we have for now. We'll continue to talk to people who were out here earlier today. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Shelby. And boy, that John really summed up it well in regards to just kind of the mood, the feeling, just how scary it was, how wonderful the protest was at the beginning there, and then suddenly took a turn for the worse when those shots were fired. People started running for their lives. Fortunately, I mean, it's sad when one person gets hit, but there could have been multiple people hit if shots are being fired into the street or anything like that. And so we're grateful that this didn't turn into multiple victims here in this situation.
And he described that, up until this happened as a beautiful experience, you know, to feel solidarity, feel the need to come out. These are 6,000 to 10,000 everyday people that came out to join and have their voices heard. A statement here from Governor Spencer Cox on this protest shooting. He says, just spoke with Mayor Mendenhall. My heart is broken for everyone impacted tonight. thank you to the thousands of protesters who exercised their constitutional rights in the right way tonight. I'm grateful to security, Salt Lake City Police Department, Department of Public Safety, and medical personnel who jumped into action to protect lives. And, you know, as we've been watching this throughout the evening, Dan, it was maybe 20 minutes between the shots being fired, us seeing that victim on the ground, and then seeing a suspect taken into custody. And you can't help but think that it's because they had so many agencies, so many resources that they dedicated, that they were able to cover this protest of 6,000 to 10,000 people and go out there and support, provide that critical medical aid.
If you're just joining us right now, an unfortunate situation in downtown Salt Lake City, a peaceful protest that started later tonight suddenly turned into a shooting there with hundreds and even thousands running for their lives in regards to not knowing where those shots have been fired. We have one critical and also one in custody. Let's go and go to Matt Gephardt right now. And Matt, what are you seeing out there? Are officers taking the tape down or putting more up?
No, they are putting more up, but in a way that is taking more down. So this is the intersection. This intersection an hour ago was completely closed off, and you now have traffic coming up and down 200 South. You still can't go up and down State Street. For anybody who's happens to be joining us late, we'll set the scene. Up there to the, we're looking straight down State Street, okay? So you're looking at the Utah State Capitol as you would be driving in from the south. To the right, before you get to the next intersection where you see that heavy police presence up there, is where we believe that shooting took place. That is right in front of the federal building. That's home to a lot of offices for IRS agents. It's home to offices sometimes for our senators and our representatives. Across the street from that, if you know downtown, would be Harmon's grocery store, across the street to the north. So this is right in the heart of downtown, which was a complete ghost town an hour and a half ago, as far as like really it was people trying to get back to their cars and go home, or people coming out for the night who weren't really totally aware of what was happening. It is beginning to, as we just look around here, this intersection, the crime scene here, this block between 200 and 100 along State Street is of course still an active police shooting investigation, and there's a large police presence out here. But when we first arrived, it was heavily armed police officers with, you know, the rifle guns strapped to them. They were here. They were the first to go. At the intersection over there, there were a bunch of riot gear donned police officers. They took off 30 minutes after that. So it's definitely turned into more of a investigation of what is going on scene, and a lot of really, frankly, crowd control. You can see this is 200 South. This whole area was shut down. You now see people meandering to dinner, meandering out for their evenings. We've seen on this side some of the, let's call it what it is, nonsense that Emma and Shelby have reported on from the other side of people, frankly, just trying to test the police tape. You know, we saw a couple of people who appeared to me to this sort of nonsense, right? So we have a guy who's just decided to walk under the police tape, and then some other people who seem to be doing it, frankly, kind of deliberately, almost like a, you know, let's see, haha, what, you know, they slur their words. I didn't do a blood alcohol test, but I can tell you they were slurring their words as they ran underneath some police tape and had to be escorted away. So wasting people's time and police resources doing that kind of nonsense. But they are definitely opening the downtown area up much more to allow people to get through and go about their business. The area, again, between 200 South where I'm standing and 100 South along State Street, that area remains severely in lockdown, extremely in lockdown, and I would imagine as you can see, there's a rather large presence of police. Some people who appeared not to be police, perhaps witnesses, over there on the east side of the street. So this area, at least for the foreseeable future, is a no walk, no drive zone.
Just to be clear here, it doesn't appear that officers are still looking for somebody or searching for someone or canvassing the area in hopes of finding another person with a gun that or may have been involved or anything like that. It appears that from what we're seeing there, officers walking around, it doesn't look like an active search is still happening or anything like that.
No, not at all. From my vantage points, that's very much the case. So you can see it's really hard to make out, especially at this time of night. But you can see there's some debris in the middle of the road, and that's the area that they seem to be focusing quite a bit of their attention on. But no, it's very much a passive, you know, the crowd control sort of police presence. I'm sure their investigators are down there looking for all the things investigators look for. But as far as out here on the perimeter, which is only one city block, to be clear. It's only, and not even a city, block if you consider that a square. This is it's 200 South to 100 South on State Street, a major thoroughfare to be sure, but not a whole block even is where, and it's really a much smaller section within that block where we still do see a heavy police presence, but not a lot of, canvassing as I think the official term is.
Okay, thanks a lot. Matt Gephardt live out there on the scene there, just about 200 South and State Street, of course, as we've been talking about all night here. This happened between 100 and 200 South. That's why that area right there is completely blocked out. This apparently is new pictures that are just coming in here. Maybe you could kind of describe a little bit, Garner, what we're seeing here.
Yes, we 6,000 to 10,000 people that were at this protest. And as we've heard from witnesses, some heard the gunshots. This crowd so large, it took up 3 city blocks. Some did not. Some continued to march, had no idea what was happening until that ripple effect of that crowd running active shooter spreading through the crowd. And what you're seeing here is who we believe is the suspect. A man taken into custody is what is confirmed from the Salt Lake City Police Department. We will have to wait for them to give us that official confirmation and more details. One witness saying that he saw them take this man into custody and he told them, "I'm the victim, I'm not the shooter." We don't know that. What we know from police is that there is one man fighting for his life. KSL saw that, who we believe is that victim. We can tell you it is not the person on your screen. Our thoughts are with that victim. The person on your screen is who we believe and suspect was the shooter, or at least involved in this incident. From seeing the body language from police, from seeing this scene become a more focused containment area, we would think that they feel confident that whoever needs to be in custody is in custody. And at this point, it's about putting that puzzle together.
Yeah, and that's why Matt Gephardt was saying in regards to officers and the way that they're walking around, the way that they're handling the situation right now, it appears as though they're not searching for anybody else or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and apparently head over to Alex Cabrera. He's been standing by live right now, apparently right at the location where we've been hearing about a possible press conference. We may be able to get some updates as to what's happening. Alex, what can you tell us there?
Yeah, Dan and Garner, we're still waiting for that press conference here with Salt Lake City Police. But in the last few minutes, they did send out an updated press release basically saying that officers responded to the scene and found one person with a critical gunshot wound. These injuries are considered not life-threatening. Preliminary, the Salt Lake City Police Department believes the shooting involved 4 people. With information provided by witnesses, Salt Lake City police officers pursued one of the involved parties and took him into custody near 200 East and 100 South. Paramedics took that person to the hospital where he remains under police watch with serious injuries resulting from a gunshot wound. At this time, there are no known outstanding individuals associated with the incident. There are also no known threats to the community. Salt Lake City Police also saying that about 10,000 people were involved in this march, which began at Pioneer Park in downtown Salt Lake City. As far as the motive for the shooting and the events leading up to it, police saying tonight that remains under investigation. So still waiting for Salt Lake City Police here to have their official press conference, but that is the latest information in the press release that we got in the last 5-10 minutes or so. So Dan and Garner, that's the latest. As soon as we get more from Salt Lake City Police here, we'll certainly have that press conference live and pass it on to you.
Okay, and Alex, can you just kind of recap a little bit just in regards to what we're saying here? Basically, is that they believe they have the person or the shooter in custody. They're not searching for anyone else. Is that correct?
That's what it sounds like. The motive for the shooting and the events leading up to it, the motive remains under investigation. They're saying, I'm looking for the part here about someone in custody, saying there are also no known threats to the community. At this time, there are no known outstanding individuals associated with this incident. But earlier in their press release, they're saying that they believe this shooting involves 4 people. That would be the person that they haven't detained, the person who was shot, and then 2 others that no other information in this press release that I'm seeing at this time, Dan and Garner. But yeah, it looks like, as you mentioned, there is one person they have in custody. That person is, they are talking to that person. The motive is still unknown. And as far as the person who was shot, it looks like that person is at the hospital with police at this time. Critical injuries, but not life-threatening. Dan and Garner.
Okay, in regards to that, we talked a little bit about the 2 people that we've been mentioning, and Alex, as you mentioned, there are 4 people now involved in this particular shooting. We don't know what the other 2 or how they were involved in that.
And we don't know how they were connected to this rally either.
We don't.
You know, and I think police are also trying to put that together and understand what was happening there. That new information there, though, Alex, that 4 people were possibly involved, but they believe that there are no known outstanding individuals associated with the incident. That may explain why we are seeing them focus really in on the scene in the area where that shooting happened.
All right, let's go ahead and head over to Matt Gephardt. Matt, I understand you have somebody there that you're able to talk to.
Yeah, we do indeed. Again, we are just south of where this occurred. So if you look up here, this is State Street, where you see that heavy police presence is where we believe it occurred. And there's an apartment complex. If you look here to the left, this is an apartment complex, a relatively new apartment complex. One of the people who lives in that apartment is this gentleman, Nate. Nate, you started at the beginning. You were involved in this protest to begin with. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was walking with my bike up from Pioneer Park, and by the time we got up here, I was a little thirsty, dry, and so I decided to go into the building and continue watching from our 8th floor viewing up here, and everything was going swell. The crowd started coming back this way from 200 South and looping on itself. It was pretty cool. And then the first shot happened, but I was looking this way, and then a couple more shots started happening, which caused me to look over here, and then I started ducking because I realized that it was gunshots. And at that point, I started yelling at everyone over here to get out, gun, gun.
So there was, you showed us a video that we can't show on television, but from your vantage point at the balcony up there, you seemed what looked to me like first responders trying to revive someone. Is that, to your understanding, is that the person who may have been shot?
Yes, that person was on the ground at the beginning, and then they tried to resuscitate him, bring him on the gurney, and then take him away in the ambulance. At that point, I don't know what happened to him.
Nate, what else did you see?
So obviously when the gunshots started happening, everyone started panicking, fleeing from this area. There was so many people that I couldn't keep track of where everyone was going, but there's plenty of places to hide that you would obviously want to do. And the cops started swarming the area that the shooting took place in, and they started running off in that direction towards a parking garage, which I assume that's where the person fled. And at that point, that's all I saw from there.
Was this, you mentioned you've been watching from your bird's eye view for a time.
Yeah.
Was this the front of the march? Was this the middle of the march where this occurred? Do you have any insight?
It might have been towards the tail end of the entire march, but since it started looping in on itself on these 2 big blocks, it's hard to say exactly where it would have been.
Did you see anything leading up to it? Before you heard those pops, did you see anything? Was there any sort of commotion leading up to this that you witnessed?
No, it was very sudden.
And then talk to me about the hours since. You have stayed in the area. You came down here. Why'd you come down here?
Because a fellow resident saw that there was some news down here and that you might be interested in a video, but obviously that's not a video that can be used.
And I greatly appreciate you sharing that with us. So in the hours since, from your bird's eye view, what have you seen? What has been the general... From the time I got here, it seems to have more or less dispersed. Is that fair? How long did it take, would you say, for the area to kind of clear out?
I would say probably a good hour, because there are still a lot of people collecting in this intersection here and some down there, but eventually the cops started pushing people further out, and the organizers of the protest started telling people to leave the area.
I thank you for your time. I'm getting a rap in my ear. I'm going to go ahead and send it back to you.
Thanks a lot, Matt Gephardt, live for us here at the scene right now. Breaking this hour, shots fired during a large protest in downtown Salt Lake City.
We appreciate you staying with us as we reset the top of the hour. I'm Garna Mejia with Dan Rascone, and here's what we know at this time.
1 person was critically wounded, and 1 person has been taken into police custody. Video shows crowds and police running just moments after those shots rang out.
And here we've got video looking down State Street between 1 and 200 South. After a few seconds, our news camera zooms in and appears to show a possible victim. What we are still seeing right here, though, are these UDOT cameras where you see this large crowd disperse. You now see here police running into a garage area. What they've just confirmed is that they believe 4 people were involved in this incident. 1 victim critically injured. We heard it over police scanner at one point that they were shot in the abdomen, possibly those his condition considered life-threatening. Another person taken into custody also with a possible gunshot wound. He remains under police watch. His injuries categorized as serious. Police believe 4 people involved in this incident.
And that's what's confusing here. There's a lot of unanswered questions. Prior to the shots being fired, there was a peaceful protest and march taking place downtown. This is part of that right here in association with the nationwide No Kings demonstration, a protest of the Trump administration. Chopper 5 was overhead tracking thousands of participants. You could see them right here. They're estimated about 10,000 or so. The protest began at 6 o'clock tonight in Pioneer Park. Protesters began marching about an hour later and were on their way to the federal building when shots rang out just before 8 o'clock.
Trying right now, receiving information from Salt Lake City Police that 4 people are believed to have been involved in this shooting incident. We do not know. We heard immediately after the shots were fired that from organizers of this No Kings rally that they were agitators not involved with the rally. We're sure that police are working to gather that information. At this time, they don't think that there is any risk to the community. Police are feeling confident that the community is safe as they continue with their investigation. We're going to send it to Emma Benson, who has been tracking this and watching this since Pioneer Park with that protest, watching it swelling, which by all accounts, many accounts, it remained largely peaceful up until about 7:55 when those shots rang out. Emma?
Yeah, exactly right. It was very peaceful for the majority of the day, and then unfortunately this situation occurred. We are at the scene right now, State Street and First South here in downtown Salt Lake City, where it is still an active crime scene as police have the tape up. I've been talking to eyewitnesses, people who witnessed it. I'm going to send it back to you as we're going back to the press conference right now.
Sorry to interrupt there, Emma, but we could go live to Alex right now where a press conference is taking place on the latest as to what happened out here. Alex?
That's right, Dana Garner, Chief Brian Redd, and Mayor Aaron Mendenhall both just arrived here for this press conference about what happened here today. We'll throw it to them now.
During a permitted demonstration in Salt Lake City, a shooting occurred on 151 South State Street. Salt Lake City officers who were deployed to the event immediately responded after hearing gunshot wounds around 7:56 p.m. One person was found critically injured at the time. The individual's injuries are considered life-threatening. At the time of the shooting, officers received witness information that helped identify and locate the person involved in the shooting. Salt Lake City officers pursued this individual and safely took him into custody near 200 East and 100 South. The person taken in custody had a gunshot wound and was transported to the hospital under police watch. A short time later, 2 other individuals involved in the incident were also taken into custody. At this time, there are no known outstanding individuals involved in the incident and no known ongoing threats to the public. I just want to thank our officers who responded to the incident tonight and who are involved in keeping the demonstration safe up until this point. Their rapid response ensured the safety of thousands of participants here in the downtown Salt Lake City area tonight. We're extremely grateful to the Utah Highway Patrol, the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office, and many other officers who came from other agencies to assist here in Salt Lake City tonight. The events leading up to the shooting, leading up to the shooting, were very peaceful. The event organizers worked closely with us at the Salt Lake City here at Salt Lake City, and up until the point of the shooting, there was no indication of any problems.
Good evening. I want to start by thanking the Salt Lake City Police Department and the Salt Lake City Fire Department for their swift and professional response to this tragic event, and I want to thank Chief Redd for his leadership tonight. The violence that we've seen here today in Salt Lake City and even in other parts of this nation is horrific, and it is not who we are. Let me be clear, this act of violence does not define our city. The purpose of today's demonstration was powerful and a peaceful expression until this event. And that cannot be overshadowed or silenced by a single act meant to harm. I want to urge everyone in the public to be calm, to give one another grace, and to look out for one another tonight and in the coming days. To our Salt Lake City police officers and our Salt Lake City firefighters, I thank you for your heroic actions. You are among the best in this city, and I am so proud of you. To those who came downtown today to speak up and march and stand peacefully together, your city sees you. Thank you for using your voice. Thank you for your peaceful cooperation with our police department tonight. And please know that your calm response and your support of their efforts likely prevented a more dangerous potential situation. You represent the Salt Lake City that I am proud to call home. We will not walk in fear of one another, not in this city and not in this nation. America, we are better than this violence. We are stronger than this hate. This moment does not define us. Thank you for being here tonight, and we'll take questions.
Chief, the 4 people involved, were they shooting at each other, shooting into the crowd? Do you know just how before, did they know each other, Chief?
That is all under investigation right now. It's too early to say.
Why were the other 2 taken into custody?
They were involved.
Involved how?
Well, that's under investigation currently.
Were any of them participating in the protest, or were they just near it?
It appears they were, involved at some level in the protest, or at least in, as part of the group that was walking.
The initial suspect that you took into custody that had the gunshot wound, how did he get the gunshot wound?
That's what we're still investigating. It's too early to say right now. I'm sorry. Yes, I should clarify. Officers, as far as we understand at this point, officers were not did not shoot, do any shooting.
Chief, any word or anything on a motive as to why?
Again, it's just so early right now. Fortunately, we have everyone involved in custody, and we're going to be sorting that out. We also had a lot of witnesses, and we're talking with the witnesses as well to see what we can learn.
Chief, it sounds like some of the witnesses helped take this person into custody. Is that accurate, or what was their involvement in helping you track this person down?
Well, they certainly gave us descriptions of a description of the individual, and I don't know at the time he was taken into custody if anyone was involved other than our officers. I'm not sure.
They chase him down or point him out in some way?
Yeah, they gave us a description. Our officers were quickly able to see that individual, and then there was a pursuit, and they eventually found him.
Mayor, if we could ask you a question, Mayor. Aaron, where do we go from here? Because there are more protests. There are more people that want to express on either side. Where do we go from here, Mayor?
We had thousands of people come out today, not only in Salt Lake City, but in protests around the state, protests around this nation, and they were by and large peaceful demonstrations. We are a nation that needs our First Amendment right. We deserve to be able to protest in peace. And what happened today, I hope, will not silence the voices of the public who deserve to have their voices heard. And Salt Lake City and our police department, our fire department, will continue to make this place, this front yard of the state of Utah, as safe as possible for those protests to continue peacefully.
What did Governor Cox say to you? And he tweeted today that he had...
I gave Governor Cox a call this evening to give him a brief update, as we're giving you right now, and he was grateful for the information and expressed gratitude for our first responders and their good work tonight.
Chief, another question for you. Those first officers who responded, did they hear the gunshots themselves? What first alerted them to the incident?
The officers will be, will be interviewed that were involved. I think it's I can't say what they heard or didn't hear, but it was reported gunshots. Our officers were right there and took the individual into custody.
Mayor, you mentioned the crowd. What's the final estimate on how many people you think were marching tonight?
I have not heard.
We estimated around 10,000 at least. Yeah.
Are the individuals taken into custody cooperating?
I don't know right now. They're literally our detectives are currently with them, and I'm not sure if they're cooperating or not.
After there were notifications of shots fired and cops started walling stuff off, people were going back to Pioneer Park, and there were rumors that ICE was present at Pioneer Park. Can you confirm or deny that, or have any information into those speculations that we've heard from members of the public?
The officers, we had Salt Lake County Sheriff's Department officers who responded to the park to make sure as individuals came back to the park they felt safe, and that was who was at the park. A short time later, Highway Patrol also responded there as well to help us just get people back to their cars.
So no indication that ICE was present?
No indication that ICE was present. I haven't had communications with ICE. I don't believe they were there.
It sounds like you can't say definitively whether the shooting was political in some way.
Not at this point. Yeah, it's just too early.
How many witnesses have you spoken with to this one? Because obviously this was a well-attended.
There were more than 15 witnesses. I don't want to give an exact number. I might have said 17. I think I heard that at one point, but there's probably many more than that. There was a lot of video taken, of course, by the community, and so a lot of that will be evaluated as well.
Final two questions. It looks like on social media there's already all sorts of different ideas of what happened. How does that impact the investigative work into this?
Well, our investigators will do the work they do. I mean, those things are out there, but we'll be impartial in our investigation, and we'll just do our best to piece it all together. And a lot of that video out there will be part of our investigation as well.
If any witnesses want to provide information to you, how can they reach you?
They can contact the Salt Lake City Police Department. Our phone number is 801-799-3000.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Of what you're hearing, and it sounds like there's still a lot of unanswered questions here. We got 4 people, 3 of them are in custody, and then also one of them is injured there. Are you able to talk to us, Alex?
And while we wait for Alex, police emphasizing that they don't believe there is any danger to the community at this point, and Alex is ready for us.
Yeah, Dana Garner, and you heard them saying that there were 4 people involved in this somehow. That is still part of the investigation as to how the other 2 are involved. There was the person who was shot, taken to the hospital, the suspect that they have, but the other 2, we just don't know at this point how they were involved. Also, the big question is motive. Was this politically motivated? Was something going on there? Was this had something to do with the protests? Chief Red said that is still very early in this investigation to talk about that. But the big thing you heard Mayor Mendenhall talking about, too, is where do we go from here? She still wants people to be able to exercise their First Amendment rights, to protest if they want to. She doesn't want fear to set into the community for future protests. I mean, that is very tenet of being an American, is being able to do this sort of stuff. And she has concerns that with this happening now, that it might be in the back of the mind, that might keep people from future protests. She says she wants to be able to go forward and wants the community to be able to go forward if they are so inclined to do so. So they provided the best information they have right now. There are still a lot of questions. Police don't have all the answers just yet. It is still early in this investigation. They wouldn't have all the answers, but they are certainly going to work on that. We're investigators, and when we get more answers, no doubt the police department will update us with that information. Dana Garner.
All right, thanks a lot, Alex. Again, we heard from the mayor, we heard from the police chief. Still a lot of unanswered questions here as to who's did what and why, what's the motive behind here. But, that's the latest from what we have heard right now.
Yeah, there's a lot still to be sorted out. Right now, we have Emma Benson, news specialist Emma Benson, who has also been out there all evening long. Emma, you started walking with these 10,000 people from Pioneer Park. You were just feet away from where we believe those shots were fired. We could hear them here in the newsroom. Emma, where are you now and who are you with?
Yeah, Garna, I was actually live on Instagram when this all went down, so I just went back and kind of rewatched part of that video, and it was definitely a very scary, surreal moment for sure. We are at the crime scene right now, State Street and First South in downtown Salt Lake City, where there's still a police presence. They have the tape. They have the street blocked off. A lot of spectators have since gone home, but I have been talking to Danielle here. I'll bring her in. Come. Stand right by me, Danielle. She's been telling me a bit about how she was not with the protesters, but she showed up about 20 minutes after the incident happened. Is that right?
Yes, correct. Yes.
So tell me about your immediate thoughts and feelings about seeing this. Oh. It looks like we have some people who are crossing the police tape. Once again, this has happened a few times this night. Sorry, Daniel, 1 second. Yeah, we have some police here. Yeah, take the camera over there. So we've been seeing some people walk directly underneath the tape. We've seen guys on skateboards, scooters, and it looks like they're arguing a bit with police. Police are walking them back to the other side of the tape here. Again, we've seen that probably 3 or 4 times this evening. Okay. We've seen that a few times this evening where people are just going right underneath the police tape, kind of just ignoring the crime scene here. We've seen I almost got hit by a skateboarder. We had a guy on a scooter go down, and it looks like law enforcement is acting quickly, going and confronting them and getting them to come to the other side of the crime scene so that they're not in the midst of it, and they're still staying safe, because that is the ultimate goal here. So sorry, Daniel, back to you. Tell me about your immediate thoughts and feelings coming here, seeing this crime scene, and hearing about what took place here today.
We're all human, and we all deserve to be respected and safe, and everyone here was showing up because they have love in their hearts, and love is a verb, and that requires action, and you know, they deserve to be safe in doing that and being here, and no one should have to worry about their safety in doing that, especially if they're being peaceful. And yeah, we forget that we're all human, you know. We're all human, we're all complex, we all have our reasons, but at the end of the day, we need to be loving and respect people and honor them, and that's what, you know, the Most High would want for whoever your God is. Like, that's usually what any type of religion preaches, is that we treat people with respect, dignity, and, you know, we don't hurt them. No matter how triggered we feel, it's not okay.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, Danielle, sharing your thoughts here as you came in and saw this crime scene. She was not with the protesters earlier today, but you did hear about what happened, and so I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. It looks like we have another person who, again, also tried to go underneath the tape. It looks like, oh, can you take the camera over there? It looks like they are putting this person in handcuffs across the street here. He may be being detained right now. I can't see very clearly, but it's right across the street from us. It looks like he tried to cross underneath the crime scene tape and was refusing to go back.
They have
so it looks like security is possibly detaining him here. Okay. Sorry, what was that? Were you guys talking to me? I'm losing my IP here for a second. Okay. Yeah, it looks like police are escorting him down the street there. I'll toss it back to you, Garnet and Dan, for now.
Thank you so much, Emma. We appreciate you. We hope you continue to stay safe out there. We just received a press conference, got new update from the mayor, from Chief Red, Salt Lake City Police Department, saying that they are still trying to understand what the motive could have been in this situation, in this incident. 4 people, they believe, were involved in the shooting.
Yeah, and that's what the confusion is here. Were those 4 people actually shooting at each other here, or were they actually involved in shooting at the crowd? But again, we know that there were multiple shots being fired. One individual apparently in critical condition, unfortunately, but we did see one person being taken away in custody that had also been shot. So who shot him? So there's just a lot of unanswered questions here as to what transpired.
Yeah, to clear that up, police did say that person that's in custody was not shot by police. So they're trying to understand where that came from. Short time after that, 2 more people were taken into custody and are being interviewed at this time.
All right, let's go ahead and go over to Shelby Lofton. And Shelby, tell us where you're at again and kind of the situation, what you're seeing.
Yeah, Dan and Garner, we are close to where Emma just was. I want to pick up to what she was talking about. We saw someone cross over the caution tape, yet another person. And then Emma was telling us a little bit about watching them walk across. We heard police officers say, "I'm not going to tell you again, you are not welcome here." And then we saw and I heard the handcuffs go on this individual. I think they're on the other side of this police car. We'll try to get you a better vantage point as soon as this black SUV moves out of the way. But to Emma's point, we have had several instances of this, of people on skateboards, runners, people on these e-scooters, bicyclists coming through, and some of them going under or through that caution tape. I asked officers, what is going on with that, when we saw that last instance of it during the live interview with John, one of those witnesses, and he said that people are just not aware of where they are. They didn't realize they would pass the caution tape, and we gave them a stern talking to and sent them back the other way. But this person, it seems like, took it a step further. We just watched another police car move up on the scene, and we did hear them go into handcuffs. Looks like they're sitting on the side of this planter right here on the street of 100 South and State Street. But we've seen this a number of times. People are just passing through the caution tape, and perhaps some of them are lacking that self-awareness, but other people, I think, are just testing those limits and wanting to go past what is still a scene that is under investigation. And we hear the police yell at them and clearly tell them, in this area, this is blocked off, you are not welcome in this space, and some of those people are choosing to ignore that. So that's the update on that individual. We also have an update on the street closures in this area. Police in the last few minutes opened up State Street. So if you are near the Capitol and you're wanting to turn right onto State Street, they have opened that street, but still there's some confused drivers that think they can continue on going straight down State Street, and we've had police have to reroute them. Police told us that they planned on opening 100 South, moving east, but we haven't seen that open quite yet. So things are still flexible. We still see that this is a moving situation, and I'm also seeing different police cars move in and out. We've seen a lot of rearranging of positions. I'm still looking at this individual who crossed over the police tape sitting down. Looks like an officer may be talking to them or is watching them, but we've seen officers kind of move around. It's been a long day for police officers and demonstrators. I'm going to send it back to you guys, but we'll keep an eye on things down here as some of those traffic patterns open up and change throughout the night.
All right, but just to be clear again, Shelby, we're talking about State Street between 100 South and 200 South. That is still completely blocked off, right?
Yes, it appears that that is still blocked off, but
Okay.
it looks like this one section of State Street is open.
Okay, thanks a lot. Shelby Lofton, Up First Live.
And as we review it and kind of process all of this information that has been coming in since about 7:55 this evening when those shots were rang out, we have been able to speak with witnesses. We had our news crews there that were feet from where these shots were heard and where they rang out. 10,000 people turned out to this No Kings rally earlier this evening. It started at Pioneer Park and was headed to the federal Wallace Bennett building on State Street when all of this started happening. Let's take a listen to what some of those witness accounts had to say.
These were still peaceful.
Yeah, the police were very
not
kind. The protesters were very kind. Everyone was behaving exactly as they should, except for the man with the gun. In the parking garage, there were 3 men in green vests, one, and they were looked like they had a person surrounded. I couldn't tell. And then next thing I know, one of them pulls out a handgun, points it to the north. That's when I started backing away while still keeping my eye on things. And then he fired several shots. The crowd dispersed. I got to cover. And then tried to catch some video from there that I sent to the police. I mainly just feel very confused.
All right, you heard from a witness right there that it was actually very close to the shooting there. Let's head over to Alex Cabrero just for a wrap up there of what you've been able to see and experience out there. Alex?
Yeah, Dan and Garner, this is one of those nights I think none of us will ever forget who were right there when the shootings happened. And it's unfortunate that this happened. This is what nobody wanted to happen. We always think of Salt Lake City as this safe place where these things don't happen. But, tonight it did happen, Dan and Garner. And there was still a lot of investigating to do, a lot of police work to be done. Even if this wasn't politically motivated, even if this had nothing to do with the protest, this kind of thing, it's just sad that it happened tonight. Of course, when we get more information as the days goes on, we will have that and pass it along to you. Dan and Garner.
All right, thanks a lot. Alex done a wonderful job out there collecting all that information and being able to bring us the latest update there. And thanks for all of our reporters and the resources that we've had out there covering this.
Yes, and thank you for joining us tonight. This will conclude our coverage for this evening, but we will stay with you if we hear any new developments. Stay with us on our online platforms.